Next question. What are the best ways for everyone to be more educated and come into more interaction with mariachi music? If you aren't in an education setting, if you aren't in school anymore, how can we connect with our local mariachis? Susie?
Yeah, well, I have a good way is to come to one of the Viva la Tradicion shows that are put on at the Ford Theater that I produce, or where whatever theater that they may grow into, in the future. I think attending live music, anytime is like optimal to have a shared experience, cultural experience, especially when you're not from that community. So if I would love to go to a San Patricio, or what do you like a Irish music. I actually identify. I can hear so much mariachi, and when sometimes they're playing because it's just like some of the same beats and rhythms. But I think people need to embrace music, world music, so that they can really feel, and because you have to sometimes be in to hear mariachi music live to get all the energy. It is a music of the people, so it's so exciting and invigorating and crying and laughing and dancing, so it really can make, I think, the audience have these really amazing emotions. But obviously live is just always so impressive, especially when you hear somebody like Mariachi Vargas de Gaitlan, and they, even if they play a classical piece, I mean, that is like breathtaking. It really is this feeling that you don't get when you're just kind of listening to it on a recording. So live music, when it comes back after this pandemic and we're able to really enjoy that once again, is just the best way for people to experience mariachi music. There's just like no other way. Obviously, you can hire them in your backyard, always. But when there's really fine-tuned mariachis with a show, with the lights, with the ballet folklorico, when you experience that type of performance, and that's what I did as a young girl, going to the Tucson Mariachi Festival, going to live performances. The kids need to see those. And they need to experience that, because otherwise, it's just not the same. They're not going to be inspired. I think that's the thing. We need to inspire our children. We need to inspire them to be curious about their culture, for the Latino kids, and then obviously for everyone else, just have the experience, because you'll find, even if you don't understand what we're saying up there, it doesn't matter. It's a universal language. So go out and see some live music, and hopefully you can come to Viva la Tradicion one year.
Absolutely. Just such a universal language. Anthony, do you have anything to add on?
Yeah, I was going to add that exactly what Susie was saying, experiencing it live. For me, being an African American, young boy growing up in Compton, it wasn't something that we listened to, obviously, as a family, but all my friends, anytime I went to a quinceañera, or whenever we'd go downtown LA, I know that there's like a mariachi plaza there. Just getting out and listening and being immersed in this music is one of the reasons why I fell in love with it. And of course, as you guys mentioned previously, our ensembles are made up of students from all backgrounds. And so they're getting to experience it as well. So supporting these ensembles at the high school level and all the way up to the professional level, I think is a good way to really get into mariachi.
Oh, phenomenal. Oscar, anything else to add about experiencing mariachi?
I'm muted, sorry. There are a lot of mariachi festivals throughout the US, and they're quite good. I mean, they're just amazing. Normally at these festivals, you have a lot of school groups performing, but not only that, you also have like ballet folklorico. You basically get the whole like package, like the whole Mexican tradition package in these festivals. And the best part about these events is that they usually highlight 2 to 3 really well-known groups, kind of like how Musco is like doing their festival this year. They're highlighting Colibrí, they're highlighting Mariachi Divas. It's very, very similar in very similar format of what you would expect in some of these festivals. Usually they can run like an entire week, sometimes 2 weeks. The biggest one being the Encuentro, which is the one in Mexico. Yeah, I mean that's honestly the best way to be able to experience this mariachi music. And again, like what Susie said, like you have to experience it live. There's so much energy in mariachi that you just can't capture it in a recording. A lot of it is done on the spot. It's very improvisational, and there's so much. It's almost as if the audience is part of the performance as much as the musicians. You kind of have to be there live with the people experiencing the music to kind of like get the whole experience. So whatever you can do to kind of find that environment, I would highly recommend it. And if it's not, and if going to mariachi festival is not something that's not local, then there are many mariachi restaurants in Los Angeles that you can visit, and they have mariachi dinner shows, and those are pretty authentic.
Tammy,
Yeah,
any
I wanna
resources or ideas? Oh, yes, go ahead, Susie.
Really quickly about the live part of it. I mean, that was so hard about the pandemic, really, because so much of what we do is based on what Oscar just said, is based on the reaction, the energy that the people you're performing for, right, is giving you, and you're giving back. And as a singer, I mean, the festivals also, I did want to add that you can also see some of the best solo artists in ranchera music when you go to these festivals. And for me, again, as a young girl, seeing Aida Cuevas, I got to see, Lola Beltran one time. It's just like those experiences are everlasting in a young person's life, and it will change the way they view music, the way they continue their, it's you know who to emulate, how to walk across stage. How are we going to teach the kids those things if they're just in a band room all day? They can't. They have to really be exposed. And yes, we can show them all the videos in the world, but when they are live, they will get a different experience. So thank you to Chapman that's going to continue these festivals and keep that exposure to the youth. Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you for that, Susie. Tammy, any ideas or additional resources or ways to engage with this beautiful art form?
Yeah, absolutely. So like what everybody was saying, right? Very similarly, I think one of the things I always teach my music education students that music is both social and musical, right? And when we're trying to create these music making experiences, it's the participants that are also involved in that process of music making, right? And to building this like community of practice. So it gets really exciting. Yeah, the energy with the audience included is part of that whole music making experience. Although you see like 12 people performing on stage, everyone is involved. And so I always also tell people like who ask me like, oh, how do I start a mariachi program? Well, if you know one mariachi musician, you'll know everybody. You'll know everybody because they know everybody else, right? And they get so excited when someone is really interested in mariachi that they will help you provide those resources, give you the resources so that you can be connected and included in the community. And it's really nice because my students who maybe I would say most of them are students of color, but they came from different backgrounds, just like Anthony is saying too for his student demographics. And I do have 2 or 3 white students who are part of the music making experience. And the whole point of the ensemble is not just to perform mariachi music, even though mariachi music is incredible, right? It's the whole experience that they're trying to gather in that process, in an inclusive space. And not only that, it's kind of nice, right? Because they're not reading music notes, and they're doing things so naturally from where they came from, bringing in their contribution into that process. So it becomes a beautiful thing. So I suggest that anybody who wants to get involved in mariachi, listening is the first thing, obviously, right? We should listen as much as possible just to learn, like not even to learn, just out of pure enjoyment, right? And then start getting connected into the communities, because I guarantee you, once you know one mariachi musician, you'll know everybody else.